Hello, fellow investor. Welcome to the channel. In this video, we look at the earnings expectations for AT&T. AT&T is reporting third quarter earnings on Wednesday, October 22nd, before the market opens. I'll cover several topics to see how AT&T is trading going into the earnings and help set expectations moving forward. I will share the current price chart and trend charts along with some key valuation, growth, and profitability metrics from Seeking Alpha and Fast Graphs. I'll also provide an update on my AT&T portfolio holdings along with trade performance metrics. Let's get started.
AT&T is scheduled to report third quarter earnings on Wednesday, October 22nd before the market open. In the previous quarter, AT&T reported revenue of $30.85 billion, beating revenue estimates by $371.18 million. AT&T reported earnings per share of 54 cents, beating estimates by 1 cent. For this quarter, the revenue estimate is $30.89 billion with earnings of 54 cents per share. Over the last 90 days, 5 analysts raised estimates and 8 analysts lowered estimates. AT&T meets or beats analysts' one-year forward estimates 100% of the time. AT&T is showing negative relative strength going into earnings. The options market is pricing an implied move of plus or minus 4.5%.
AT&T on the price chart, 1 year daily. From the early January lows up to the peak, they've risen about 40% this year. They did have a 13% drop from these highs, but have since recovered to about a 10% drop. They are currently trading below an upward sloping 200-day. The 20-day and the 50-day are both downward sloping, and these are not in the proper order. We would like to see the 20 above the 50-day, above the 200-day. But we are seeing a rollover in the 5-day moving average, and the price is starting to increase a bit. We do have an RSI that is sitting at about 39, so it is in bearish territory. We also have a PPO that is in bearish territory, but it looks like if the price can increase slightly this week, that we will have a bullish crossover this week. The money flow is currently negative. We did have accumulation for most of this year. We do see a slight downtrend over the last couple of months. AT&T has outperformed the S&P 500 by 11%. It's underperformed the XLC, the communications sector, by minus 1%, and that's been just in the recent couple of months. For most of the year, it had actually been outperforming the XLC. It is also outperforming the fixed line communication industry group, and that industry group is also outperforming the S&P 500. Before we move away from this chart, I do want to show an upward sloping trend channel. This is short term. This is only since about April, but it had been trading in a channel since April and just recently broke down out of that channel on October the 6th. But it does look like it is starting to try to make progress to get back within that trend channel. Let's look at AT&T in the weekly trend chart. This is a 5-year weekly trend. We can see that since the beginning of 2024 that the longer term averages have been showing positive performance. The medium term had also been showing positive performance, but recently in the last 3 weeks, those had turned slightly negative, and that corresponds to the decreasing price here that we saw. We can also see that in the short-term average, it is showing a little bit of weakness, but these averages are starting to make some progress back to the upside. I do want to look at T and Verizon and T-Mobile and also the communications sector and just see how they're performing on a year-to-date basis. We can see that T is at the top of the list at a 20.86% total return this year. The XLC is next at 19.78%. Verizon follows at 8.38%. Then we can see T-Mobile at 4.98% total return since the beginning of the year. We'll look at the valuation growth and profitability metrics from Seeking Alpha. We can see that AT&T is trading at a forward PE of 12.81 times. That's compared to the sector median at 13.99 times. The expected EPS growth rate for T is actually negative 2.82% forward looking, compared to the sector median at 10.67%. Then the expected revenue growth rate for AT&T is 1.18% compared to the sector median at 3.39%. Then we turn our attention to profitability. AT&T has a net margin of 10.29% compared to the sector at 4.28%. We can now take a look at AT&T and fast graphs. We can see that they are trading at a blended PE of 12.56 times. They have an EPS yield of 7.96%, and they have a dividend yield of 4.24%. Over this 20-year time frame, AT&T has grown at an adjusted operating earnings growth rate of 3.69%. Fastgraphs calculates their fair value ratio at 15 times, and the market normally places a 12.22 times multiple on AT&T. We look at their earnings, we can see they've had some years of earnings contraction. 2023, 2024, and 2025 were all contracting years. That is expected to end next year with a 9% EPS growth rate and a 12% EPS growth rate in 2027. AT&T tended to trade above their normal multiple until about 2015 when they acquired DirecTV, and they began to enter into the media business as well as the telecommunications business. They ended up divesting that stake, a 30% stake in 2021, and they divested the remaining 70% in July of this year. AT&T also acquired Time Warner in June of 2018, which was subsequently renamed Warner Brothers. AT&T spun off Warner Brothers, which then merged with Discovery to form Warner Brothers Discovery, and that was finalized in April of 2022. So they continued to decline in price towards the end of 2023, but now that they are focusing on their core competencies, we can see that the price action has increased pretty dramatically, finally getting back above their normal multiple. So if over the next couple of years they can continue to trade at that normal multiple, we could see a 26.32% total rate of return over the next 2 years and a few months. I made my first purchase of AT&T in December of 2020. My current investment of 900 shares at an average cost of $17.90. I've had a realized return of a little over 4,200. I have an unrealized return of about 7,600. I have received over $11,000 in dividends. I have lost some money in options, so that's pulling about 5.3% off my total return. My current return for my current holding is about at 110.6% gain. My total return overall is 32%. I've made a total of 25 trades. 8 of those are still open, so I've closed 17. 17 have been winning trades and 8 have been losing trades. My total gains is almost 27,000, while my losses have been limited to 4,900. So that gives me a win rate of 68% with a gain-loss ratio of 2.59 to 1. That wraps up my review of AT&T as we await the company earnings report. Let me know in the comments what you think about this company, and let me know if you hold a position in AT&T. If you find these earnings previews helpful, I would appreciate you subscribing to the channel so you are alerted to future videos as they get posted. I would also be grateful if you like the video to help support this channel. I wish you the best in your investment journey, and remember to trade well.